So I started off at the age of 16. I went to work for a shoe shop. I was doing a business course and I hated it, absolutely hated it. For me, not going to college and not going to uni, I always felt that, is this gonna pull me back? It didn't, because so we have bathroom showrooms, but then we do a lot more behind the scenes because we get involved in projects with architects, designers, high-end luxury contractors. We don't care about a couple of £100 here or £100 here, which is great because we're growing and growing and we're growing.
How much is your business turning over now?
Do you know what? To be fair, I'm not going to go into figures and whatnot, but for me,
Meet Kalpa Patel, the powerhouse entrepreneur and director of Prestige Bathrooms. Starting from nothing, Kalpa turned her vision into a multi-million-pound success story, redefining luxury in the bathroom industry. Join us as we uncover her incredible journey in this exclusive podcast.
And they were like, would you take the business forward and carry on with Prestige Bathrooms and buy the business from us? And I said to my husband, but you know what, it was the hardest thing I ever did, like being away from them. So I think it is more a personal preference thing. I used to love drinking. I never knew when to stop. One drink would be 2 drinks, 3 drinks, 4 drinks, and then that's it, I'm out. I had the best times, don't get me wrong. I'm going to buy 10 houses. When I'm not here tomorrow, what's my kids going to do? They're going to go flog my 10 houses and they're going to go piss up my money up the walls. Especially in our community, people love to compare, like how well that person is doing, how bad that person is doing. And people feel joy from when people are not succeeding. Probably never had an easy life, but I just feel like I'm not productive enough. We love traveling. We Dubai, India, America, we go every year.
You mentioned you went to India. Did you go traveling in India?
India is very different. It's come a long way, like, don't get me wrong, very narrow-minded out there. Like, people don't value that time. Bit of a trouble there as well. Like, the communities are very...
Welcome back to Take a Seat, the #1 channel for mindset and motivation. Today, we've got a female entrepreneur. She used to be a sales assistant, but now owns a multi-million-pound business. And we want to find out all about it. So please welcome Kalpa.
Hi, Sean. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. You're looking great.
Thank you. And you?
Yeah, tell me what a week looks like for you, Kalpa.
So we start on Monday morning. We got into the showroom at 7:30 in the morning with the boys. I've got 2 boys, 7 and 9. Mason and Braden, and then they come with me to the showroom. They have breakfast in the showroom, and then we drop them off to school at 8:30.
Wow.
Back in the office for 9, and then obviously the day begins with the meetings, the tenders, the processes of all the architects, designers that you're working with every day on a day-to-day basis.
So your business, what essentially is it?
So we have bathroom showrooms.
Right. So
but
you sell bathrooms?
Yeah, basically,
Right.
in a nutshell.
So that's a bathtub, a toilet, and a basin?
Yep, that's what it is.
Okay, cool.
But
so that's the base.
That's the basic of it. But then we do a lot more behind the scenes because we get involved in projects with architects, designers, high-end luxury contractors, developers, and then we make sure specs are correct because a lot of people doing projects and doing building work, architects, designers, they specify something, give you all the paperwork to price it up, but then they're missing concealed parts, you're missing bits that go in the wall and things that can make projects really, really costly if things are going wrong. So for us, we've got the expertise behind us with the team. We've been there so many years. Obviously, everyone's so knowledgeable. And for us, it's customer service. For us, it's 100% service that we give to people that anything happens, we're there to help you, back you up. We supplied the Natural History Museum very recently, the Learning Activity Centre and the Garden Building Centre with one of our contractors, Focus Building. So yeah, we've got...
How do you build that network?
Do you know what? To be fair, the company has been there, Prestige Bathrooms been there 25 years. So they had a great client base already before I took over. I worked there for 7 years. And we've built that relationship with architects, designers, contractors, and obviously me networking even more so now. Maybe 2-3 times a week, I'm out and obviously meeting new people, creating those relationships with people. I think that's the best way that people will come to me or us as a company because they see you as a real person. They see all the things behind that person. It's not just a showroom. It's not just a fancy showroom that people see it as. And I do believe people buy from people. And I think that's what it is. And yeah.
Today's episode has been sponsored by Sean Land. We're growing a like-minded community on Discord. So if you click on the link in the bio, you can enter it absolutely free. How did you go from working in a showroom to owning it? Like, how big is this showroom like?
We've got 3 shop fronts. It's probably about 6,000 square foot, I would
So for
probably
someone
say.
who doesn't really know numbers, how big is that?
It's very large. We've got a very, very large showroom. We've got a lot on display. We supply all the kind of brands like Jessie, Dornbrat. We do Fantini, Villa & Boch, Duravit. We've got all the high-end. We do Italian bespoke furniture. We do tiles. We do all of that paneling, porcelain. So we cover the whole spectrum, and we can cater for projects from entry-level to mid-range, high-end, bespoke, luxury. So we do cover the whole range.
You know what? I went to Hyde yesterday, actually. Hyde in Green Park.
Okay.
And they had a Tokyo toilet.
The Toto toilet, the Japanese toilet.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
It was like, it lifted up like up
yeah,
like
it's
that.
the Toto.
And then next one, it's got a panel on the left. And I'm like...
got the heated seat. They've got the warm water.
Wow,
yeah.
Like, toilets are going up in the world, mate.
We've got toilets from Toto that we supply. £10,000 a toilet.
Wow.
We had one client, they wanted like 4 of them in their house. We were like, this is insane. But that's what they want.
40 bags on a toilet.
On a toilet for four rooms. And it's just
what are so good about these, apart from they electrically go up and it's heated?
They're bidet, so they're bidet sprays built in. Obviously, they're very popular in the UAE, Dubai, obviously in Japan. They find it that it's more hygienically feasible. Obviously, wastage of toilet paper. So they think that's going to be the future. But they have night lights on them. They have electronic sensor.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you have the bidet spray built in. They have heated seats. They have a dryer, so it can dry your bottom for you.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Bloody hell.
But it's...
I want to ask a really personal question here, actually.
Go for it.
That you're in the bathroom industry. Yeah. You see so many reels and videos about somebody putting ketchup on a desk and then just wiping it with a tissue, and it goes... Is it still sticky? And it's like, yeah, it is. Like, it's not
clean,
washed. And the British culture is you just wipe your bottom with
toilet paper.
And in the Eastern culture, it's like you use
a
water.
Douche spray, or you use water. Yeah,
exactly. What do you agree with?
For me personally, I'm not a fan of the bidet spray toilets because I don't like that. I don't feel like I'm clean. Whereas I've always been a toilet paper person, for sure.
And do you think that makes a difference?
Do you know what? Everyone has personal preferences. So I think it is more a personal preference thing rather than it being... Because for me, I feel more cleaner if I've used toilet paper. Then some people will be like, oh, how can you just feel clean with toilet paper? And they like to obviously wash their bottoms. But it's very different. It just... I don't grasp it. I find the heated toilet seat was great because when it's cold, we had it in our showroom. Oh, yeah. It was really nice. But I think that's as far as I would go with the washlet. But
I've only had that heated toilet seat when you go into the Shard, the Shangri-La
Hotel. That was nice. We went to the top of the Shard and we went to use the bathrooms in there. And they're all Totos. And I'm sitting there messaging my husband going, oh my God, the toilets are amazing. He's like, get out of there. He's like, come on, what are you doing? But everywhere I go, I've got such an eye for it. That we were at Sexy Fish last time and I was in there for about 20 minutes in the bathrooms taking pictures, videos, reels of the fittings and the fixtures, and I'm so engrossed in all the different things.
Because you do that speciality, so you want to know what the next thing is.
Do you know what? For me, I love things that look great, and I feel really inspired by a lot of some interior designers that we work with, and you see their work and I just think, you know what, it's just amazing what they do, but they're not valued enough for what they do. Same in our industry. We're so knowledgeable, most people. We're so knowledgeable. We give you all that service, give you all that time. Like some projects take 3 or 4 months to kind of close, or you get it right, go back and forth with drawings, construction drawings, architects' drawings, you go to site, and people don't value that time. Like if you were sitting with a solicitor or a lawyer, as soon as you sit in that seat, you're getting charged by the minute, literally. But people come to you and then they'll be like, oh, can we look after it? Can you do price? Can you do better on this? Can you do better on that? And you're like, I've just literally spent 4 months invested into this project with you. And obviously everyone needs to save money here and there, but you've got to think of the bigger picture, because if you hadn't come to us, you wouldn't know that these things work for you, or what we can put together as doing mood boards, colors, schemes for you. All of those things we've put together for you. You haven't just come to us and said, this is what I want. Can you price it? It doesn't work like that. We're on a journey. It is a journey together. And being on a house build, you probably know better than anyone else how stressful it is. And how if things go wrong, things don't turn up, your builders are screaming and shouting, everyone's on your case, who do you go to? And that's why we differentiate ourselves from anyone, because there's so many bathroom showrooms. The market is saturated everywhere and everyone can do everything. But for us, we make ourselves different because we think out of the box. We want to make that journey as painless as possible. We want to be with you on that journey. It's not just about turning boxes for us. It's not just about the turnover. It's about having that personal relationship with people and being there on that journey with them from start to finish. And that's what we do on all of our projects. So I think that's so important.
And how are you found? Like, how do you compete with the big brands out there?
So for us, we've because we've been established for so long, we've got a great client base. And for us, it's that relationship we have with people. People recommend us. People recommend us to other interior designers, other architects, other contractors. And for me, what I found this year, especially since taking over, my networking and building that network has really helped and pushed the business to grow even more than we were already doing. And getting out there is just getting your face out there, getting your name out there. It's not about prestige. It's about me as a person. People see me and sometimes be, oh, there's Kalpa. I've seen you on your Instagram. I've seen you on here. I've seen you on there. And it's so nice to have that feeling where people see you for a person, not just a brand or its prestige bathrooms, because we are all human beings and we all have things going on, home life, you got work life, you've got activities going on in your life. And there's so many things on a day-to-day basis that you're managing and juggling. So it's so nice when people actually come up to you and say, hey, Kalpa, how are you? Oh, I've seen you on the Instagram. I've seen you on here. I've seen you on there. And I'm like, that's really, really nice. It's touching for me. I feel really, really inspired by it.
That personal brand.
It is.
So
that's what it is. It's so important. That's it. And that's my thing is for us to be on prestigious projects like the Natural History Museum. If anything goes wrong, you pick up a phone and tomorrow I'll have it there for you. And if not tomorrow, I'll have it there as soon as I can. And that's the difference with us, where people will brush things under the carpet, be like, yeah, I'll sort it out. And then things are getting delayed on site. And for me, if something's gone wrong, I feel really bad about it. Like I'll say, hands up, you know what, we'll get it sorted out. And even if it's not our fault, I will always say to, whether it's our client, whether it's a contractor, whether it's a designer, don't worry, we'll sort it out. And we'll deal with the rest of it later, whether it's a cost or whatever it may be. The main focus for us is getting that project over the line. That's the main thing for us. We don't care about a couple of £100 here or £100 here, because in the long term, that relationship is so much stronger than you worrying about the short-term gain. So I think that's so much more important.
Love that. That's quite authentic, because a lot of people are just about the money.
Yeah.
They think very short-term,
and
like you're thinking long-term.
For us, it's relationships. And for me, I'm always about building relationships. And my dad taught us that at a very young age. He's not here, but he always mentioned to us, no matter what happens, no matter who you are, never outdo anyone. Never think you're better than anyone. Everyone is equal. Everyone is humans. Everyone is equal. Whether you've got 10 houses, whether you've got 10 cars, that wherever you're going to go at the end of your journey is always going to be the same.
Same box.
Yeah, same box. Whether it's £1,000 box or a £10,000 box, you're still going in that same box. So just be humble. I think that's what it is. And I think his values have instilled into us, and we try and instill those values into our kids nowadays, because it's so important. No matter how far you get, you always got to remember where you came from. And I think that's so important.
I totally agree. So come on, what's your humble brag? Like, how much is your business turning over now?
Do you know what? To be fair, I'm not going to go into figures and whatnot. But for me, right now, we're at a couple of £1 million turnover, which is great because we're growing and growing and we're growing, which is fantastic to see as obviously as a business owner. For me, it's also the personal growth as well that I've seen within myself this year, the growth within our team. We've got a team of 6 with us, and everyone's been there for so many years. We've got my colleague Nain, he's been there 18 years. My colleague Chitra's been there 13 years. Our accounts lady Rajeshri, she's been there 12 years. Our warehouse manager Soho, he's been there 12 years as well.
Can I ask you, when you worked for the company, do some of these people know you as working there and now?
Yeah, everybody's the same. So all the staff are exactly the same as it was. Nothing's changed.
Was anyone higher than you?
So we had a colleague who was slightly higher than me. He used to obviously kind of run the showroom because he's been there 18 years,
Sure.
which is fair enough.
And now you're running the place like as the
Yeah.
boss. Like, how does that dynamic
But you know,
work?
for me, this is what I always say to people. Like, I'm a director on paper, but for me as a person, I don't walk around and talk to people like I'm the boss. For me, my 7-year-old said to me in the office, we were with my accounts lady, and he goes to me, "Mummy, you're the boss now of Prestige." And I said, "You know what? I'm not the boss. I'm just a worker." And he looked at me and he was like, "What do you mean you're just a worker?" I said, "I am just a worker. And just on paper, I am a boss. But I said, but I'm the same as everybody else in this showroom." I said, I don't feel that I am better than anyone else. We are all the same. We work hard. We work together as a team. If a toilet needs to be cleaned, I'll go and do it if I have to. It's not an issue. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. And that's the difference where people feel like, "Oh, you're the boss. You shouldn't do this." No, why not? Why should I not do it? I've done it all my life. I've worked my way up, but I'm still going to be that same humble person that I've always been. It's not going to change me in any way. Okay, I have a lot more responsibilities because I have to worry about the back end stuff of the business, and I have to deal with the day-to-day managing and the running of the business, but that's still not going to change the way I talk to people, the way I treat people, the way I am with my colleagues and my staff. So for me, I don't feel like I'm better than anyone else. We all work as a team. So there is no boss. It's always a we, not an I. And that's what I feel always works. And the team as well, like they see it. They see all those values that you're bringing to the table. My kids are seeing that as well. I don't want them to grow up and be like, "Yeah, mummy's working and she owns a business." And they think they can have it all, because it doesn't work like that. We didn't get that when we were younger. My dad was an accountant, but he never ever gave us everything we wanted. He took us on really nice holidays. He did all the things for us, but we had to earn that. He would say, "Come and sit down and do my totals." He had the red book. He never used a computer. I never did any of his work on a computer. He worked for big firms, but he always did with the handwritten books and adding machine. He used to sit us down and tell us, "Look, if you do this, you got all of these pages to do. Once it's done, I'll give you £20. And that's what I want to teach my kids, because I'm like, everyone, it doesn't happen. You don't get it on a plate. It's not a free ride, or there's money just doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard for it. And that's what I think is so important to teach them.
It's like that quote. It's, hard times create strong men create easy times create weak men, sort of thing. Like, it's that circle. And there's a few of us who recognize that and say, "Hey, hang on, people do need to go through a bit of pain and stress."
Yeah.
Especially at the start. Because when you're growing up in a £2.5 million house in Silk Robes, what is going to make you
appreciate
push and try and do anything in life? You're not going to have that in you.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's where I feel even mental health comes into it, because later on, life hits you in the face and you just don't have the tools and skills, because all you've ever done is just thrown money at it. If you don't have that tool,
where do you go from there? You have nothing. You actually have nothing to go to. You have no personality. There's no guidance in life. And everyone has to make mistakes in life to learn from. And everyone's on their own journey. And that's why I always believe you've got to stay in your own lane, because a lot of people, especially in our community, people love to compare, like what that person is doing, how well that person is doing, how bad that person is doing. And people feel joy from when people are not succeeding. But why do they have to be like that? Why can't we all work together and grow together and help each other out wherever we can? And you know what? That's all it takes is someone could just need a conversation with someone that could just change their whole outlook and their whole mindset. And that's all it is. It's just a conversation. You're 5 minutes of your time or 10 minutes of your time. But there's so much arrogance in the world nowadays where people are like, "Oh no, I'm just too high, or I'm at a different level to someone else." But it shouldn't be like that. I don't think, and there isn't enough of those people around to sit there and just be like, but I think whatever we can do in the community or wherever in our children's lives, I think we should do it. And I think it's very important to give back to the community, give back to people who are less fortunate than us. We do a lot of charity stuff in India. My mum's she's there in India at the moment, and there's like a old people's home that we always donate to, and they feed the old people. They do like activities with them, and it's so nice because they've been kicked out by their children, and they've got this safe place that they stay at, and it's such a beautiful place with these amazing grounds, and they've kind of got everything that they've they've ever needed. And you just need just a little, whatever you can do, whether it's £50, £100, it doesn't have to be the millions or the thousands, but it just changes someone's life just that little bit better. That's all it takes. It doesn't have to, no one's telling you to give out £50,000 tomorrow, but if you could just spare £20 or £30 or £50 or whatever it is to anyone who's kind of less fortunate, like especially at times at Christmas and there's kids who don't have toys, they don't have this, and just little things like that. I think that's so important for me as a person, and showing the kids that as well.
Definitely. So going back to the showroom and you not acting like the boss, if that makes sense, like the director, you're allowing people to do their job and what they're good at. How do you maintain that respect?
So for me, like we always work together. So we've never had a conflict where there's been an issue where someone's come to me and said, you know what, I'm not happy with something or whatever, because we discuss and we talk things out and we all collectively have discussions about how we move things forward. I like everyone's input. Obviously, the ultimate decision will be mine at the end of the day, but we take everyone's decisions, we take everyone's opinions on board, so everyone feels part of a team. So I don't think it's ever been kind of an issue with us, especially in this last year.
And what about if somebody just not doing, like, you always have that one or two people who don't pull their socks up and you just think, oh, you're slacking a little bit, bruv. Like,
yeah,
don't take the
there is obviously conversations that we can have. And do you know what? It's nice. It's not a horrible or demeaning conversation, because there's ways to talk to people, and you have that relationship with everyone we have in the showroom, because for us, we feel like we're more like a family unit than an actual, like a co-workers or anything like that. So for me, if there is an issue that I feel needs to be addressed, we can talk about it. We'll talk about it in the office. We never do it in front of everyone because it doesn't need to be addressed in front of everyone. We just have a little conversation and it's dealt with and it's done. And people, and they know that this is what the situation is. If sometimes we need to pull our weight with taking sales or whatever the case may be, it's just a nice conversation that we have to have. And I'm happy to do it. It's not like I won't do it, because I've always been in management, and for me, I feel like staff are productive when you treat them in a certain way, because you go all guns blazing and people don't take kindly to that. And I think you have to give them criticism, constructive criticism at the time. And as long as you've got the numbers to back it and you've got all your facts and evidence to say, look, this is where we're at. This is what needs to be improved. How are we going to do it? It's as simple as that. When you break it down, it is as simple as that. There's no need for the animosity between co-workers and staff and all of that, because if you do it in the right way, things can run so much smoother. And I think for me, that's the way I've always done it. And even at Bath Store, when I was there for 8 years, I've always done my management the same way. It's not a way where it's pushy or you're on someone's case all the time. You do it in a nice way. Obviously, if it doesn't improve, then things have to change and you have to implement different ways of doing it. But I think in most cases, for me, I've been quite lucky that I've never had to go down a route of disciplinary or dismissal and stuff like that with people that I think who have potential. And for me, I've just kind of worked with them. Do you know, everyone, I know what potential people have. Sometimes people have off days. People have off moments. You've got things going on in your home life. You've got things going on in family life. We all get it. I have it sometimes, but we've just got to make sure that front end doesn't collapse and it doesn't lose the service levels and it doesn't lose what we're really good at. And that's what I think is so important.
You as a boss now.
Yeah. See?
She's an understanding woman. How does it feel like being a female business owner? Do you find any differences where it's quite a male-dominated industry?
Our industry is very male-dominated, 100%. When I first started with Bath Store, I started as a sales consultant, but even though I had all this experience in management, I didn't know anything about bathrooms, and I just wanted a job because I came back from traveling in India for 6 months. So I was like, I came back and I was like, I just need a job. I was 24. I was like, I need to get back into work. And then I went to an interview for the role in Bath Store, and the BDM, he goes to me, why are you applying for a sales consultant role when you've got so much experience? Would you not want a showroom of your own? I said, not at the moment, because I said, I want to work my way up from the bottom. And how can I teach someone if I don't know the ins and outs of the industry, or how even a toilet flush will work, or how a basin waste works, or how to fit it together, any of that, I wouldn't know any of that at that time. So he was like, I really respect you for that, because it's nice to see that someone who's got so much experience is willing to start at the bottom again and work their way up. And I was so glad I did, because I did a great job for 6 months, and then they gave me a call, and he was like, I want you in Finchley Road, one of the nice showrooms in like kind of near St. John's Wood. He's like, I want you there tomorrow. I need you there. And I was like, okay, what's happening here? So then I got there, and he was like, there's the keys. That's your showroom. You're taking over from today. And I was like, oh my Lord.
In 6 months?
Within 6 months. So
and you started as
a sales consultant in Southgate. So
right.
I was
you're
like,
just saying, oh, here's a time. You come in for a bathroom?
Yeah. So I was,
here's a
yeah,
nice
we were
toilet set.
we were doing drawings. We used to do the CAD drawings for clients at that time. We used to do them the 3D renders. So we provided a whole service, and we used to do the installation in-house as well. So Bath Store used to cover the whole spectrum. And then within 6 months, I got my own showroom at Finchley Road. They were taking £600,000 a year, which was nothing for that area. You've got all those affluent areas, Regent's Park down the road. I was like, how can this be possible? There must be something going wrong in the processes, whether it's staff, whether it's the management that was here previously. So we kind of stripped it back to basics, and we were like, let's start again. Let's get it all into place. And then within that first year, I took it to 1.8 million within the first year of turnover.
That's 612.
So it's threefold, three times the turnover. And then from there, it just grew and grew. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got good bonuses for it.
Okay.
But at that time, you're still young. You're like, yeah, it's great. And you're just living off, going on holidays. You're loving life. And that's what it was all about for me at that time. Going out, enjoying yourself. You was like young, free, single, and you didn't care. You didn't think about, obviously, the bigger picture of, in the future, I'll need to buy a house. I need to think about family. That didn't even cross my mind. For me, it was all about living in the moment. So you're earning so much money, and you're just literally spending so much money and going out, partying. It was drinking every weekend. You're having fun with your friends and going out with family, cousins and all of that. And that's what it was all about for me. That's what I enjoyed, because I didn't go to uni, I didn't go to college, I didn't do any of that. So for me, I was like, yeah, I'm just living my life every day as it comes. And there was no, you didn't think, oh yeah, I've got to save for this or I've got to save for that, because I was living at home. There was never really any rent to pay or any bills to pay. So you're just kind of going for it, just doing kind of what you wanted to do. And you look back now, and I was like, oh my God.
So how did that opportunity come where you're a store manager and you've got to buy this business?
So for me, I was at that peak with Bath Store, and then I got married in 2015, and I fell pregnant kind of straight away with my first one, Mason. And obviously I still carried on working for Bath Store until he was born in November that year. And then I went on maternity leave for a year. So then it was very different, because obviously I went on maternity leave. I've now got my first child, working weekends, working bank holidays. I was like, how are we gonna manage this all? So I went back after my year off maternity, and we were living in Greenwich at the time. And I was like, how am I going to cope with working weekends, working bank holidays? And I did it. I did it for another year before I found out I was pregnant with my second child. So I was so grateful, because my mum lives in North London. She lives in Wood Green, and she used to come Saturday, Sunday with my dad. She used to drive to Greenwich in the morning, because I didn't drive at that time as well. So she used to drive up to Greenwich, pick up Mason, bring him back to her house, and she would drop him back the same evening at like 7 or 8 o'clock at night when I used to come home from work. And she did it again on a Sunday. So she practically did that for me for whole 9 months or 10 months while I was back to work, and I was just trying to just keep going with the job role and everything else. And then I fell pregnant with my second one. So that was 2017. Found out in January I was pregnant with him. So I carried on working with Bath Store. But I was in the Dartford showroom. Obviously, it wasn't as busy as Finchley Road. So I felt like I've taken a step back again. And I'm like, oh, this is just doing it for the kids. It was kind of one of those things, you're just doing it all for the kids. Let's just keep going, because you just need a job. And that's all it was. for me. It was now at this point where it was just a job, and I'm like, I was enjoying it, but I wasn't enjoying it as much as I was. That buzz wasn't there as it was before, because for me, all I was thinking, weekends and bank holidays, I'm missing out with my kid, and then I'm going to have a second one. What am I going to do? So I had Braden in September 2017, took a year off maternity, and then I came back to work in November to Bath Store, and I was like, that's it. I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. I was like, I'm not doing weekends, I'm not doing bank holidays. And I handed in my notice there. And my husband, he's in hospitality, so he works for Green King. So he's been in management with them for like 14 years. So he got an opportunity to run a pub in Ealing, where we are now. And I was like, this is perfect, because my brother lives in Ruislip, my mum lives in North London. It was just it all logistically worked for us. So I was like, this is great. But then I was like, what am I going to do for work? And then I was looking everywhere. I was like, I don't want to go. And I always loved the bathroom industry. I loved the working with contractors, working with designers, working with architects. But I was like, every big company wanted you to work weekends and wanted you to work bank holidays. And then I found Prestige Bathrooms. They had a job advert for a admin role. So I've gone from being a showroom manager, earning thousands and thousands of pounds, to taking on a role being an admin person at Prestige Bathrooms. And I've dropped my salary to like 25,000, if that. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I've got to do it. I've got to do it for the boys. I'm going to be present and I'm going to be there. So I'm working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So I started there on the 1st of Jan. And I've been there 7 years. And I was just like, what am I doing here as an admin person? I went in, just thought I'm going to just get involved. And then obviously I saw the clientele that they had, and I got involved in the projects, got involved in the bigger projects that they were working on. And then I got pricing tenders and going to site. So I kind of got from admin role to kind of going back to where I was at, but working with loads of luxury high-end clients, but still on the wage of an admin role. So I was like, okay, fair enough. It works. I'm just going to keep going and keep going. And then 3 years ago, I was like, you know what, this is enough. The kids are older. I want to get back into that world where I need to be a specification manager role. I need to be higher up. My experience is so much more than what's going on. I'm never going to progress where I am, because obviously it's a family-owned company. I was never going to be able to go further than where I was at. Even though I'm taking loads of money, I was doing a lot of business. There was no way I would be able to progress any further. So I went to Sanipex, Bagno Design, for 3 days. I went in Chelsea. And they're massive in Dubai. Huge, huge company in Dubai. And that's kind of what I was like really, really, I was like, in awe of, because I was like, they're a Dubai company. It'll be great. Obviously, I've been to Dubai so many times and I fell in love with the place. So I was like, this is going to be fantastic for me. I got there and I was like, I had to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't going to leave till 6, which means I wouldn't get home till 7. And I was back in the same boat again, because I was like, I'm not seeing the kids. So I did it for 3 days, and I called our old directors at Prestige, and I was like crying on the phone. And I was like, I need to come back. I was like, I need to come back. I was like, I just can't, physically can't do this. No matter how much money they're paying me, it's just not worth the missing out on the boys, like going to school, going to nursery, all of those things. And 3 days in, I knew this is not going to work. So I went back to Prestige and I had a chat with the directors, and then they were like, you know what, it's just meant to be for you to come back. And at that point, I was like, oh my God, I'm back to square one again. This is like now the 3rd time, back to square one again. Where am I actually going to go from here? How am I ever going to progress? And then 2 years ago, they came to me and they were like, we want to retire. And they were like, would you take the business forward and carry on with Prestige Bathrooms and buy the business from us? And I didn't know how we were going to do it. And I knew that obviously the value of the business was what it was. And I said to my husband, I don't care what we're going to do, but we're buying Prestige Bathrooms.
Isn't that a bit like, how did they know they could approach you with that proposition? Because if you're thinking someone who's, the admin role on 25, 30 grand, how's that person going to buy a multi-million-pound business?
Because I think, they knew my capability, which I think I'm forever grateful for, because they saw the potential in me. They've seen the numbers that I was bringing in the door. They knew, they knew that I wouldn't have had the cash flow or whatever to actually do a buyout, complete buyout straight away. So they came to me with a proposition that we would do a deposit and then obviously terms that we would pay it out of the business, which worked great. But then the initial part was finding the deposit, because we were like, where are we going to now find this deposit from? So luckily we managed to do it within the year and we got it together. And even till this day, I'm so grateful to have the opportunity from them, because...
So before that, I want to ask somebody who wants to buy a business right now and can't really get a lot of money together, are there any quirky ways? Like, are there any lenders, business people who are there to help you?
Do you know what? Family is an avenue, but I think for us, it's always trying to find someone as a business partner who has the cash flow and that could invest with you as a silent partner or whatever the case could be, which I think could be a potential. And obviously doing a buyout like we did, if you do it on a terms payment, because if you know that the business is going to run and it's going to go from strength to strength.
What does terms business mean?
So for us, we're doing a payment plan, basically, like an interest-free payment plan over a couple of years. And it's a business buyout, basically.
So your profits end up, it's not just yours, you've got to...
No, we don't. We're not splitting the profits. So what we do is we make the payments to what we've agreed with solicitors. It's all on paper. We have a share purchase agreement in place, and you have obviously a lease. We're leaseholders of the showrooms. So all of those paperwork is all in place with solicitors. So you just pay a payment every month for a certain amount of years.
And what I'm saying is you look at your profits and say, yeah, we can afford that.
Yeah.
From the business.
And that's from the business. And that's how it works.
All right, we won't take that home.
Yeah. We're just paying off the business, basically.
And eventually this...
Yeah. And that's it. And that's the way it's worked. And now we're a year in. And I think this has been one of the best years that we've had. And I'm forever grateful for all the hard work that everyone's put in. And I think we're just going to we've got to keep growing and growing and growing. Slowly. We don't want to grow too fast. We just want to make sure that we grow in the right way. And we take everyone on the journey together. And I think that's what's so important. Like, we all grow together. It's not just about me growing and me filling my pockets. It's about everyone growing together. And we don't forget the values of what we do every single day and why we do it. And for me, it's, you're building someone's dream home, right? And that takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of pressure. It takes a lot of money. And you can't afford to get it wrong. You have to be at the forefront of it all. And people make mistakes, but 9 out of 10, you got to make sure that is done to a T. And you've got to, otherwise it's costly. It's very costly to us. It's very costly to whoever is the client. So I think...
So where do you get your inspiration from? So you can fit a bath. There's a plumber who could change your three-piece bathroom suite. Like, what sort is your USP? What makes you different? What gets your inspiration going? How do people go, oh, that's Prestige Bathroom?
Yeah, because you know what it is? We put things together. Like, someone can come to me with a space and say to me, what can I do with this space? And I will give you guidance, advice, color schemes. I'm not an interior designer, but I love getting involved in that side of stuff, like putting things together, seeing how things come together, how colors work together, and just making it so it's presentable to the client for them to be able to visualize what it could look like. So that's makes us different, because we actually care and we have a passion for the project. And every project is different. Every client is different. And that's what I love, is being on those different projects, whether it's a £500,000 project or whether someone comes in and spends £5,000 with us. Every project is important to us because it's different, and every client's needs are different. So you've got to adapt to every client's needs, which I think is so important as a business owner.
Being placed where you are, is that Ealing?
Yeah, we're just in Perivale. So we're just literally off Perivale and on the border of Ealing. So it's just right in the middle, off the A40.
How far do you branch out, or can you? Everywhere. So we've got projects up in Marlborough, Wiltshire at the moment. We've supplied developments in Nottingham. So we've got a project where we're supplying up in Devon. So we cover all areas. So it's we're kind of nationwide, if you want to call it. So is that just as a supplier? What about as a fitter?
So fitters, we have subcontractors that we use. A lot of our subcontractors, most of the subcontractors are based in sort of in and around the London area. But where we work with other contractors, developers, designers and architects, their projects take you everywhere. So they could be, as we said, we're working on 2 projects in Marlborough, Wiltshire, in the middle of nowhere, on 2 prestige projects that we're working on right now. So it is kind of where the client is. We can deliver to there. We use couriers we use our vans and stuff that get deliveries out to clients. And for us, it's so important because everything is a journey from the start where they've placed the order with us to when goods come into us, how it's managed in our warehouse, how we deal with stuff in our warehouse. We label things that are in bathrooms, so it's easier for fitters to deal with. They've got some projects have 20 bathrooms in a house, in one manor house or an estate house. How do people deal with that? We've got things that are labeled, numbered to the T. This is what's being delivered today. This is what's being delivered on your second fixed delivery. And we manage it all in-house just from where we are. And we don't have a big warehouse, but we manage each project individually to come into us when it's required. Things are ready when the contractors want it on site, so there's no delays. And if that means having to store it in our showrooms, we have to do it, and that's what we do. We have a small warehouse out the back where the showrooms are. And then for us, it's just, I think for me personally, I want to have this is a future plan for maybe next year or the year after, kind of have a designer hub for interior designers to come into in maybe Mayfair or Chelsea, just as a small unit, nothing huge as what our showrooms are now, but just for them to come in as a workspace. They can bring their clients in. It's all nice with samples, tile samples, colour samples, brassware samples, and they can just come in and work from there, bring their client in, and we can just literally show them, this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to do it. And because for us, we've realised that designers and architects are all a lot of them are central London based, and some people don't like venturing out into like Ealing or West London. So it would be nice to have a hub in town just for people to come into and just have a look around. We can spend time there. We can do meetings there. We could do coffee mornings or whatever it may be. So I think that's the next step for me. Yeah, that's it. Now I want to do one at Prestige Bathrooms for next year is on the cards. So I think we might have to do a Savoy's collaboration with Savoy's Club collab.
Them guys are good as well, you know. Where does that passion come from? There's so many business owners that will just sit there and go, the money's coming in now. It's okay.
They're happy, yeah.
And, you know, it just ends up being a little bit mediocre. You got the old relationships. Everything's ticking along. Where's that passion coming from that you're like, another branch, another studio, another workspace here, colours, like it feels like you're so engrossed in this? Because
I am. For me, I've always been at the forefront of it all. So for me, I love getting so involved. The passion has always come from within. Like I see nice things, I go to nice places, and then you're like so inspired by colours, textures, all of those things that come together. Like for me, that's my drive. I work day and night. I'm sometimes on a laptop submitting a project till 12 o'clock at night. And because for me, that's my fire. I feel that keeps me going. That keeps me pushing and striving for more. And it's not just about the money. It's about meeting new people. It's about people from all parts of the world, all parts of industries. It's about connecting together. And I think I get such a buzz of meeting new people and hearing their journey, being so inspired about how different people are and how different their journeys are and the journeys they've been on and how they've got to whether it's a solicitor, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a property developer, whether it's an architect, whether it's a designer. Everyone's on a journey and they've all come from somewhere on that journey. And for me, that excites me. And I feel that passion. When I'm in a room full of people, I just get so inspired by all the different things that are going on in the inner room.
Do you think life is about purpose? You have to have some sort of purpose that keeps you waking up every day, that I'm going to go and do that?
Yeah, definitely. I think you have to wake up with a purpose, because if you don't enjoy what you do, then there's no point in doing it, because you're half-heartedly going to do it. You're half-heartedly in it. And then you're not productive. You're not focused. You're not fully invested in it. You don't get the quality out of because you're not putting in all the efforts that you should be. If you're enjoying something, it doesn't feel like a job, or it doesn't feel like a business that you feel like you're making money from, but you're not enjoying. And for me, waking up in the morning at 6:30 in the morning, I'm like, today I've got to do this, today I've got to do that, I've got the kids, I've got this, I've got football training with the boys. There's so many things running in my head at 100 miles an hour, but that's what I thrive off. That buzz. If I haven't got something to do, I'm like, okay, I need to find something to do. And what am I going to do next? Where am I going to find, where am I going today? What am I going to do? What avenue am I going down today? Or what am I going to find a new skill at today? For me, I'm always thinking of the next step. And for me, that's what keeps me going. And especially like now, I stopped drinking 1 year and 4 months ago.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. And
Was
for
you
me,
a big drinker?
do you know what? I didn't drink every day, but when I did drink on a weekend or I was on holidays, I used to love drinking. I never knew when to stop. I was that person who would be the last person to go home, always the last one to leave the party, always want to stay for that one more drink. And then you're just like, oh my God, what am I actually doing? Like it's just crazy. I've done it since I was 15, 16. I used to go out with my sister. She's older than me. She'd take me to all the garage raves and go to Eros in Enfield. Been to a Rainforest Cafe from when I was 17, 18 years old growing up. I had the best times, don't get me wrong. But you get to a stage and you're like, what am I actually doing? And my kids are a bit older now, and you realize you're going on holiday and you're just spending a lot of time actually drinking by the beach or whatever you're doing, going to a bar, but you're not actually spending that quality time with your family or with your kids because you're just worried about, I want to go out, and I want to go have a drink. I want to go to a bar. I want to go do this. I want to go do that. But actually the quality time is being missed out with them because you're waking up the next day, you're groggy, you're hungover, and that's another day lost. And then you feel like it can take a couple of days to get clarity back. And then you're like you're not focused. And then you feel like you're back at it again because the weekends come and you're going out and you feel like, if I have one, I'm going to have two, then you're going to have three. So it's not you're an alcoholic, but you are going out to drink because it's not just one drink. You feel like you're just going out of your way to have a drink, and then one turns into 3, 4, 5. And then you're back to square one again. So it is that vicious circle where when I did it, I got to September last year, and I had a wild summer because my kids were in America for 3 weeks with my husband, and I didn't have any kids here. So I was like, oh my God, this is great. I was like at festivals, I was out drinking after work, and I was just like, got to September and I was like, whoa, what's happening here? And then I was about to take over at Prestige Bathrooms. And I said to my sister and them, I was like, you know what, it's time. I'm going to have a 12-week detox and see how I feel. I never said I'm going to stop. I just said I'm going to do a 12-week detox. And we were going to India in October as a family holiday. And this was the first holiday where I felt, oh my God, what am I actually going to do? Like I go to the airport and I'd have a drink at the airport. I get on the plane and I'd be the one having a couple of drinks on the plane. And I'll get on holiday and I'll be having drinks throughout the day. And in the evenings, you'll be drinking. So I was like, this is my first holiday. We're going as a family and we're going my mum, my sisters, her kids, my brother, my other brother. We had a massive group of us. And I was just walking into the unknown. I was like, this is so different. I got to the airport and I had a coffee and I had nice food. And I was like, oh, this is nice. Got on the plane, 9-hour journey to India. Didn't even think about a drink. I was like, I feel good. I was like, this is great. You come off the plane, you're not dehydrated. You're not all like mangled by the time you've got off the flight after 9 hours of being on a flight. And you're so calm, you're so patient. And I was like, this is good. Went to Soho House in Mumbai, living the dream in Mumbai. Went clubbing till 4 o'clock in the morning, got back, woke up at 8 o'clock, had breakfast with the boys. And I was like, I'm really enjoying this. And I got to December and said to my sister and my brother, you know what? I'm really enjoying this life. I had a whole different lifestyle. And my brother was like, he got me a Louis Vuitton card holder because I'm not one for loads of designer stuff. I've never been one. I always think, oh my God, I can't spend that much money on loads of things. And I was like, only if you're treating yourself every once in a while or something like that. So he got it for me, and him and my sister and my other brother, they put a little message in the card and they were like, it's so nice to see like your growth, and they were like, you're smashing it. Just this was only a month of taking over Prestige, but it's been about 3 months of not drinking. And I was like, it's just really nice. I was like, you can, people can see the difference in the way you are sometimes when you've had a drink compared to how you've been on this journey for 12 weeks. And now I didn't miss it. I never felt like, oh, I need to have a drink, or I feel like if I go into a networking event, that was another thing. I was like, we always at the Savoy's events and going to any event that I've kind of been invited to. At first I was like, oh my God, how am I going to go to an event and not have a drink? And I went to my first one. I think we had the Dilly in September last year, and I walked into there and I didn't leave till 12 o'clock at night. And that was the first event I did. Just stopped drinking and I drove to the Dilly, and I was like, wow, this is fantastic. Like, I've had great conversations with people. I've had such great vibes with people who I would probably never have spoken to. I never would have reached out to them, or I never would have struck in a conversation with them because you're too busy drinking at the bar with the same circle or whatever it may be. And you're so stuck in your way that you never want to branch out a little bit. And now you realize that now I don't drink. It's so nice because you talk to people and you remember the conversations you've had. And I'm so open and honest. Like, I have nothing to be ashamed of, or I don't feel like I need to hide my things that I've been on in a journey, because there's nothing to hide. It's my journey, and I'm very proud of my journey, and I'm proud of where I am today. And it's been a tough journey to get to where I am. And I've been through trials and tribulations to get to where I am today. And it's not been easy. Like, you're working constantly. You're always thinking about so many things, because your own business, you've got to make sure that you got suppliers that need to be paid, you got wages that need to be paid, overheads that need to be paid. That's all on my head. That's not on anyone else's head every month. And I have to make sure that I'm pushing and being on my A game to get to making sure all those things are fulfilled, as well as juggling being a mum, doing kids' homework with them, taking them to clubs, doing all the weekend stuff with them. I play football myself on Thursdays. So doing all of those things, it can be overwhelming sometimes. But for me, taking the drink out of the equation has made life so much more brighter and so much more beautiful, because you're so focused and you're able to wake up with a fresh mind every day. Even if you're in stress or you feel stress, you can deal with it better, I feel. Like, you can take things in your stride better as well, because drinking is not an answer to anything. People feel like, oh, if I'm stressed out, I'm going to have a glass of wine. But that's not going to change your worries or your woes. That's just going to get rid of it for that little time. But then tomorrow you're back in the same boat, and you're even worse off than you were the day before, because you haven't dealt with that problem. You haven't found the solution to that problem. And how do you move forward from there? And then you're back in that rut again. Oh, I'm going to have another drink because I feel like I'm so stressed out and I feel like I need to have a drink. So that's what I feel has really changed my life in the last year. And that personal growth, I think, for me, not in a way in a business mind or anything else, but personal growth. I think this has been one of my best years to date, because I've grown so much as a person. The relationships that I have with people, family, they've grown. Like, you've nurtured them so much more better than you would have done when you've had a drink, or so many things can have your back up when you've had a drink, and things that are so small can turn into so big when you've had a drink and your mindset's not there. You're in a whole different wavelength, and it does happen, and it does ruin relationships with family, with friends. And I've realized that. And you just take a step back and you're like, wow, such a breather. It feels like such a breath of fresh air just to step out of that. And you can walk into a room and you can talk to everyone. You can be on a level with people, and you vibe differently with people because you're just you. And that, you're not everyone's cup of tea. Don't get me wrong. Not everyone's going to love me. And I get that. That's fine. But I'm genuinely, this is me, and I'm humble, and I just want to be a people's person. I just want to know about people. I want to know about their journey. For me, I don't walk into a room and be like, what do you do? That's not how I am. For me, that's secondary. That will come if you're having a conversation. But for me, I want to know about your life, your kind of journey that you've been on. And your kids and what your family values are and all those things. That's more important to me as a person than any of this BS about I earn 50 million or I earn 10 million or I've got a Bentley sitting outside in the driveway. That's second to none to me. For me, that's great. You're doing so great and I'm so happy for you. And I only wish the best for anyone. But for me as a person, I like to connect to people, as in just genuine people. Like it's not about what people can do for me or what I can do for people. It's about how we connect as people and genuinely how we can help each other on a journey. It's not about how financially you can help me, because for me, I feel like genuinely, if you're a good person and you're honest, and those things will come to you in time. I'm a big believer of karma. I'm a big believer of what goes around comes around. And I think even if it's not today or not in another 10 years, it will come back to your children. And I'd always believe that. And my dad always said to us, like, growing up, just do the best you can for everyone. Like, whatever you can do, doesn't matter. He always helped. My dad always helped family. He's always helped his siblings come from India, and he's brought them all here for years. He's settled them all here. But he's never been one of these people to walk around and be like, look, I brought my family here. I did this from Kenya or I did this from India. He's not like that. He just did it and he's happy that he did it. And that was enough for him. He doesn't need to be shouting off rooftops about, I've done this, I've done that. And it's just your journey. Just be on your journey and just be humble. And I think that's where I feel so proud to have that from my parents and my family growing up as well.
It's amazing. Just on the alcohol side of things, do you think that, obviously you say it does cloud your judgments, relationships. Is that because alcohol is bad full stop, or can people still have a drink? And if they have a limit of, I'm going to have 1, 2, it's good, and then I'm done for the night.
Yeah, of course. And everyone is different. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here preaching about people should stop drinking, because everyone is different. And it's different for people. People can be that person where they have 1 drink and they'll be like, yeah, I'm done. That's it. And some people will be like, I'm that person who wants to go out and stay out till 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, innit? I'm the one who is like last orders, getting kicked out, finding the next place to go. Where can we go next? So I'm not saying don't drink. I'm not one of these people, but I think you got to do what's right for you as a person. And for me, this was the best move for myself and my family and my growth in the business and for my whole outlook to life. I think this was the best move for me as a person. But obviously you read a lot of things that alcohol is one of the dangerous drugs in the world. And it probably is, because it's so addictive and people can get into such a bad way from it, because you don't realize, because you're going out drinking socially and some people drink every day. And you don't realize that actually is a problem, because you're drinking every day. So if you didn't drink, even if it's 1 or 2 every day, if you didn't drink, do you feel that you would feel funny by not drinking because you've drank every single day for maybe 2-3 years? It might just be a glass of wine every single day, but it's still something that you feel like you need. And that is a drug, because you're addicted to it. And that's what I think. People manage things in different ways, and there's no right or wrong answer about it. It's just how you deal with it, and whether you're at that spectrum where you want to go out and be all out, or do you have to be that person who's just knock it on the head and just be like, it's either there or there. There's no in between, and some people can do the in between. And for me, I couldn't do the in between. I was like, for me, 1 drink would be 2 drinks, 3 drinks, 4 drinks, and then that's it. I'm out, and that's it. So. It's everyone's different. Everyone has to deal with it different. And I think you've got to know what's best for yourself rather than anyone preaching. Because people would have told me 5 years ago, oh, you got to stop, you got to slow down. And I would be like, no chance. If someone had told me 5 years ago that I would have stopped drinking, I would have been like, no way, hell no. I enjoyed it too much, going out, doing this, getting out there, going to a pub I still go out. And if not, I go out more now than I've ever been out. But I go out, I enjoy it, and I leave when I'm ready to leave. And I know I can still stay out till 1 o'clock in the morning without having a drink. And I've realized that you have a Coke Zero. But you don't have 10 Coke Zeros when you're out. Whereas if I was out and I had 10 vodka sodas, you'd feel like you need to have 10 of them. Why? I don't have 10 coffees when I'm out. I don't have 10 mocktails when I'm out. But why do you feel like when it's alcohol in your head, you feel like you need to have 10 beers or I need to have 5 glasses of wine in a space of 2 hours? But now...
Does health feel any different physically?
Definitely. You know what? 2 years ago, I was 84 kg. I'm down to 60 kg now.
Oh, well done.
And you know what?
That's 24 kg.
24 kg. I'm
Wow.
half the person I used to be. But for me, obviously, that was also the eating slightly better. I've got such a bad sweet tooth. Like, I'm a sucker for chocolate and desserts. Christmas comes and everyone's bringing in biscuits, bringing in chocolates, and I can't say no. I'll go into the kitchen in the office and I'm like, I'll go grab a cup of tea or a hot water and then I'll just grab a chocolate, and I can't say no to that. But I've realized that now I eat better because when I used to drink, you'd eat takeaways, you'll eat more junk, and everything's part of the parcel, and you don't realize how much it is actually affecting you. Now I look back and I look at pictures from a year and a half ago and I'm like, wow, was I really, okay, I don't have any issues with being larger or whatever, but I look back and I think to myself, wow, what a difference it's made to my outlook, the way I feel about myself. I was confident when I was going out and everything. I never was not a confident person, even when I was larger. But for me now, I walk into a room and I just feel comfortable within myself. I don't feel like I have to shy away sometimes or anything like that. I'm just even more confident than I ever was before. Not in an arrogant way or anything like that. It's just within myself, I feel great. And I know health-wise, I think that's definitely helped me as well, I think, for sure. Because touch wood, I haven't got any high blood pressure issues. And we have got hereditary blood pressure issues and stuff like that. So I think that's really helped me along the journey. I've had blood tests very recently and everything has kind of been really good, touch wood. So for me, I think that's also a great lifestyle change. And the kids see it as well because they're like, Mummy eats better, like you're not eating junk. And I do, don't get me wrong, I love a pizza on a takeaway on a Friday night. I love that sort of stuff. But now you can control it. Like before I'll drink like full fat Coke every single evening. Now I'll have, if I want like a fizzy drink, I'll have a Coke Zero. Now you're just swapping things out slowly. And now I drink so much more hot water. I'll drink probably about 2 liters of hot water a day. And I'm
What
like,
does that do?
I feel great. I don't like drinking cold water. So for me, I feel nice. It just energizes me. I'll have like a tea bag of peppermint tea in there or whatever. It's just for me, if I'm having that throughout the day, I feel good as well. And I'm like cutting out all the other stuff that I probably didn't need in my life. And I'm still going out to nice places. I'm going to nice restaurants, eating good food. And I still get to have my desserts and I don't feel bad about it now. And I'm maintaining the weight, which is great. Like I don't feel like I'm not depriving myself of stuff that I want to eat because I'll eat. If I want to eat a kebab, I'll eat a kebab. It's not like I'm saying no to some greasy things. Now I'm able to control the way you eat and the things you do and all those things. And it's all come at the right time. And I think it's just made such a difference to my life, myself as a person. And I feel like, it's opened up a lot of doors to me, just being on this journey. And I just want to embrace it. For me, it's just embracing that. I love going on holidays. I enjoy, I feel like we work hard.
I posted a picture in a nice swimsuit the other day.
Yeah, we was in Poland, in Krakow.
Yeah, and you were so proud, hands on hip, and said something about body positivity or something of that
you know what?
nature.
For me, it's I would never, in all these years, especially after having kids and stuff, your body changes and you're never confident like that anymore. And this year has really shown me like you can have scars on your stomach from the kids or whatever, but you should be proud of things like that. And do you know what? No matter what your size, your weight or whatever, you should be proud of who you are and what you are. And you should never feel like embarrassed or anything like that. And for me, when I put that picture up in a swimsuit, and I did put one up in February when we went to Marrakesh, that was the first time I've been in a skimpier swimsuit. I would wear like 2 pieces before, cover my stomach, cover everything else. And this was the first time I felt, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. I feel comfortable and I'm just going to put it up and I'm going to post it. And I felt so good because I felt like, you know what? People have stretch marks, people have marks, but there's no shame in that. That's natural. Like, why do we feel we're in this world where things have to be hidden? No one's got a perfect body, and it doesn't matter whether you're a size 10 or whether you're a size 20. Everybody's beautiful, and everybody should embrace their body and they should be comfortable with their bodies. And I think that's, for me, this year I really found that I came out of my comfort zone this year, and I really pushed myself out of my comfort zone. And for me, I feel like I've just grown in a different way this year, and I can't express it because it's my journey. But I just feel so grateful to be on this journey, and it's so nice to see the development and the growth that's happened this year. And long may it continue. And obviously, hopefully, with the blessings of family and everything else, I think we'll be good.
I'm sure you're inspiring so many people right now who are listening to this, because it's so true. You know, even as a man, like, some people walk up to you and they say, "Oh, you look good, Sean," but you know, under your clothes, you know, there's always a little bit of
Yeah,
excess
you
fat
always
here or
feel.
there, and
Yeah,
people judging me for having that little lower belly fat
yeah,
and stuff. And the truth is, we all do that.
yeah.
I've seen, like, beautiful people who say, "Oh, I don't like one hip is higher than the other." And I was like, never even noticed
I
that
know.
ever. And they were
It's
like,
like,
yeah, and it's like they're a 10 out of 10 in the
yeah.
room, but you go and you're still thinking that, like, everyone has.
Everyone has their something that they're not happy with. And I think for me, I found that, you know what, you just got to be happy with where you're at and be happy with yourself. Otherwise, you can't make other people happy, and you're never going to, that positivity, and it shows when you're in a room, you walk into a room, you know, people, that energy, that vibe, the aura, people sense it so much more now. There's a lot more. I always feel like when you walk in a room, people can sense your energy. You know, you get those people who are just straight up business people, and they're like, "I just want your money," or they're straight up people who you can just feel like, you know what, they're building that relationship with me. They want to know about me, and everything else comes afterwards, you know? And I think that's the two different people in a room. Whereas for me, I'm like, that relationship and building that relationship is so important with people. And I've realized that more so now, that so many people have so many things going on in their lives that we don't know about. People could be flaunting whatever they've got or whatever it is, but they might not be happy in their lives. They might actually be really depressed in life, but to everyone else, they look like they're living their best life. But you know what? It's just a facade. And for me, I don't want to be that facade. I just want to be, this is real life. Like yesterday, I was at football in the rain with the kids, standing outside in the cold for an hour and a half. I got my Pittsang AFC hat on. I got my big jacket on, and that's me. Tonight, I'll be in a dress. I'm going out for dinner with one of our suppliers. But that's the life. That's real life, you know? Like, you're sitting at home with my sister's kids or whatever. Like, we're sitting at home as a family. We're just chilling in tracksuit bottoms and a jumper. And those sort of things should be posted as well. Why not? It shouldn't just be about your glamorous life or what you do on events or where you're going to nice places. It's great to do all that, but people want to see the real you too. And everyone has a real person. Everyone has a real home life, or everyone has the kids in pajamas or whatever. Small things like that is what I think people want to see more of. And I don't think it's just about the fancy cars and the fancy restaurants anymore. I think people like that, but I think we've got to dig deeper. And I think people need to dig deeper into relationships and maintaining those relationships, because the generation now, like, I'm 38, I think the next generation, I think they're going to lose that if we don't instill that into them. Because when we were younger, we were grown up by our grandparents. We were grown up with cousins. We had sleepovers with our cousins. We used to sleep on the floor in the living room on mattresses with our cousins. Nowadays, the kids will be lucky to see their cousins once every couple of months if that happens, you know? So I think we've got to keep that going. And I think we've got to keep showing the kids that grandparents are so important. Like we go to my mum's every single weekend. We see my sister, her kids. We see my brother, my other brother, sister-in-laws. We see them every single weekend. Whether it's for a couple of hours or whether it's for the whole day, we make that time to see each other, because it's so important as a family to keep the kids together. And the next gen, I don't know, they're losing it and they're not going to be doing that anymore.
Do you think social media changing things.
Definitely. 100%. People feel like they have to show something and perceive their lifestyle in a way on social media. Whereas it doesn't have to be like that, because what we're seeing is that next generation, they're not really big drinkers. Like we're seeing 25-year-olds now, they don't go out drinking like we used to go out when we were 25. We used to go out and get smashed, come home at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to work the next day. These next generation is not going to be doing that. And they're not doing that, which I'm so proud and so grateful for, because hopefully by the time it gets to our kids, they'll probably be like, alcohol what? They'll be like, you know what, there's so many other things in life to entertain themselves or go out for nice dinners, and they're probably a bit more fitter and healthier than we probably ever were. And I'm hoping that that's kind of where it goes for them. But social media has a really big part to play in how people perceive things, how people want to show things, because that's only one side of the story. Because you're only seeing sometimes the glamorous side, the fancy things that people are posting, but deep down, you don't know that person is going through. You don't know what their real home life is like, or what their family life is like, or what their background has been, or what journey they've been on. We don't know any of that, because people don't take out the time to find out about those things. And that's what's so important, is one conversation with someone could break so many barriers. And it could make that person feel so much better, because they feel like, oh my God, I've just offloaded something to someone. And I go into a room and I'm like, I don't want to talk about prestige. I want to talk about me. I want to talk about how my life has evolved from where I was to where I am now. And I want to talk about all my people on my journey and how they've influenced my life, how they've been a part of my life, and how we appreciate all these things that have happened in life to get us to where we are today. And you know, everyone's been on a tough journey. I'm sure you have as well. Like starting in the industry, property industry, being where your dad was in a shop and you owning a shop. It's the same principles. Like you probably never had an easy life, but you've made the most of what you had, and you never forget those values and those things. So I think that's so important.
As you said, the father's upbringing, the grandparents' upbringing, being around them people in your life humbled you.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know? And even though my dad had a shop, I'd still wear high-tech trainers.
Yeah.
And it was just because we don't have that, because we want to save to try and buy a property
Yeah.
ourselves. We need to do these things. And so they'll put you in your place very quickly. But being grounded like that, you appreciate everything, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
It's a totally different thing.
It's like you appreciate the values of things. Like we work hard, right? Don't get me wrong. Everyone works hard. But for me, even like this is a prime example. We were at my sister's house about 2 months ago, and I took my older one, Mason, we went to the shop. They wanted to buy football cards. Football cards, they were like £10 for football cards. And I said to him, I'm not buying you football cards because I don't get paid until next Friday. And he looked at me and he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I don't get paid. I don't get my wages till next Friday because it's end of the month. And he goes, no, I want them now. And I said, well, you're not getting them now, because when I get paid is when you'll get them, because I don't have an extra £10 to budget for your football cards today. We got back to my sister's. He was crying, had a full-on meltdown. He's 9 years old, full-on meltdown, screaming and shouting. He's like, oh, why can't I get my football cards? Rah, rah, rah. I said, because you're not getting them. Because I said to him, I haven't got the money to buy them for you right now because I haven't been paid. And when I do get paid, I'll give them to you. I did have the £10, obviously, but it's just a lesson to be learned that you can't have everything when you want it. I was on the phone to my brother, and my brother was like, why don't you just buy them for him? I was like, because he needs to understand that he can't have, whether it's £1 or £10, he can't just have it when he wants it. And because he's crying and kicking up a fuss, he's not going to get it. And then Friday came, the following Friday, we finished work. I picked them up from after school club at 5 o'clock. And I said, all right, we're going to go to Smithy's. And today I'll buy you your football cards. And he was so happy, but it was just a lesson. I said to him, you see the lesson in this? That you have to wait for things. Things just don't come to you on a plate. And I said to him, like, even if I had the money, which I did have, I said to him, I'm still not going to give it to you because you have to wait for things. When the time is right and when we say, yes, you can have it, you can have it. It's not a problem. But you have to think about all the other things that come with it. I said to him, we've got a shopping budget. You've got to go spend £70 on shopping. I said to him, you've got to go do this. You've got to do that this week. And then when it comes to the end of the week and I've been paid, have it, no problem. I'm not going to say no to you. And it worked. And he appreciated it so much more when he got the football cards rather than he would have done when he got it, when he wanted it, because he would have literally opened that football card pack, would have been flying around the living room, and that would have been the end of that. And he wouldn't have cared. He was like, I just got it because when I wanted it. And that's what the difference is. We have to teach our children that no matter how far you get, how much money you make, there's always got to be that boundary where you got to say, you know what, there's a limit. There's a limit. And I always want my kids to stand up on their own 2 feet like we have. And even if my dad had a house or whatever, we don't want that because we want to do it ourselves. Like we want to make our own foundations and we want to do it for ourselves. And for me, I love holidays. And people say to me, you go on 4 holidays a year. You know what? I don't go on a fancy holiday. I go on a Ryanair plane. I go on an EasyJet plane. I'm not flying business class and I'm not flying first class anywhere. I'm literally going on a holiday because I enjoy holidays for myself and my family. I could go to Poland. I could go to Cyprus. I could go to Dubai or I could go to Thailand. But for me, it's just that fact of I get that enjoyment of going to an airport and I'm like a little kid. That's my life. I'm like going to the airport, getting on a plane. How excited I feel is like, how excited must my kids feel about, it doesn't matter where we're going. We could go to the smallest town ever, but it's just that fact that going on holiday is so important to us. And people are always like, oh, you're spending money on going holidays. Why don't you save to go buy a house? Or why don't you save to do this? But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy 10 houses. When I'm not here tomorrow, what's my kids going to do? They're going to go flog my 10 houses and they're going to go piss up my money up the walls. Why don't I enjoy the time I've got with my kids and my family now, make those memories with them? Obviously, everyone needs to save. Everyone needs to be comfortable and have a backing to fall onto, which is fine. I totally get that. But why am I going to work 7 days a week, day and night, to not make those memories with my kids? You know, like going to the school plays is so important. Going to their sports days is so important. Because when we were growing up, and I don't know with you, my mum would be able to come to some things, but my dad was never able to come to certain things because, not because they didn't want to, it's because they felt the pressure that they had to work. And that's the way it was before. Whereas now, me and my husband will be like, you know what, we're going to take out 1 hour in the morning to go to our son's play like we did this morning. And no matter how hectic life gets, we're going to take out the time to do those things with them because I know for a fact if one of us wasn't present at his play, he would have been so upset. And I know back in the day when we were younger, we didn't feel like that because the society never made you feel like that was normal at that time. Whereas now, the society is like that where kids, if their parents are not present or something like that, kids are made to feel a certain way and they're made to be mocked a little bit that your mum didn't turn up or your dad didn't turn up, you know, and that's the world we're living in. And it's not a nice world, but that is the reality of it. So I think whereas back in the day, it was never a big thing if your dad didn't turn up. It's normal, you know, he's working, it's fine. Whereas now if your dad didn't turn up, you're a bit like, oh, my dad didn't turn up. They get really deflated and they'll be upset about it. Or if my mum didn't turn up, they would be upset about it. So it's very different times that we're living in now, and things have changed so much to when we were kids and we were growing up. We could go out on our own, on our bikes till whatever time in the evenings. Right now, I've got to be scared to let my kids walk on the road on their own. You know, it's very different.
You mentioned you like to travel. Have you been to many places?
We love traveling. Dubai, India, America, we go every year because my in-laws are in America. My mother-in-law, father-in-law, my sister-in-law and her kids. So we
First
go.
of all, how important is traveling?
Very important. For me, it's so important.
What does traveling do? Because some people's like, I'm from London. I don't need to go anywhere. I know what I know. What am I going to go
Do you know
traveling
what? It
for?
just opens your mind to different culture, different things, how people do things, different cuisines, different ways of life. It just shows you so much. It opens up your whole horizon. And for me, like we've been to India, you see like kids in Mumbai, showing my kids, we went to Juhu Beach and there's little kids on the street who don't have food. And I was saying to my boys, we're not going to give them money. I said, we're going to take them and we're going to go get them food. I was like, isn't that a better feeling rather than just giving someone money and then they'll disappear and somebody probably take that money off them and spend it on drugs or alcohol or whatever. And it's just teaching them different values of life. And from a young age, we've always traveled. Like we at least did 2 holidays a year with my dad and our family. My dad used to take like 15, 17 of us on holiday. At one time, my mum's sisters, kids, we used to have like the best holidays. And my dad would only be the only man who'd take us all because my mum's 2 sisters had shops. And their husbands were always in the shop. So he would take all of us kids together on holidays to Spain and everywhere, Cyprus. And he was just like taking care of everyone. Imagine looking after 15 like women, kids. It's mad. It's hilarious. It's chaos. I don't know how he had the patience to do it all, but it was so much fun back in the days.
So where in America do you normally go?
So we go to Baltimore because my mother-in-law and father-in-law in Baltimore. Near Washington.
Near Washington.
Yeah. So we're there, well, at least once a year we do.
What's that like? What's the area like?
Do you know what? It's nice. Because when you grow up in London, everything's so close by. You're so used to like public transport. Everything's walking distance. Whereas when I first went to America, I found it really strange because New York was like, obviously, because New York's a city, you walk in distance of hotels and hustle and bustle is there. But when we were in Baltimore, it's a lovely city, but you have to drive everywhere. And I'm like, oh, how do I get around? And how do I adapt to life? We've got cars obviously at home there and whatnot. But for me, it's left-hand drive. And I'm like, I'm scared to drive on the left-hand side. So for me, I always felt a bit restricted of where I could go and how I could get around. That's my only thing I found was difficult. But the kids love it. They've got loads of space, open space there. Loads of things to do. For a holiday, it's great.
What are people like out there?
Do you know what? For some people are very narrow-minded out there. Like, you feel like it's a big, diverse country, but really it's not because you've got people who are very, very segregated. Like people like you got Indians in one section, you got people are doing their own thing, but in their own sections. It's not like how London is. We've got a mixed diversity community where everyone kind of mixes with everyone. You see it in London. You're in the heart of London. It's hustle and bustle. Probably New York is more like that. My sister-in-law's in New Jersey. That's probably a bit more diverse. But when you go into the towns like that, you find that the communities are very in their own communities. It's not as diverse as we think it is. I think I always find food is always a bit of a trouble there as well. Like everything's so big and so oily and everything's so fried, but yeah, it's very different to here.
Big out there.
Yeah, there is a lot of because their portions are a lot bigger. The food I've always find,
sort of.
Yeah, everything is everything's huge. Like you go to McDonald's is huge, and you're like, oh my god, how am I ever going to have that meal that you'd probably normally have here? It's double the size of here. But yeah, I find there's a lot to see in America. Don't get me wrong. But for me, I've always find it because of traveling. You just so much that you could do. Everything is so far. Like some states are so far. You're traveling 4 hours to go from one end to the other end if you're going to see Pete family or whatever.
How do you travel for 3 weeks and then leave your business? Who does all the?
So I haven't left for 3 weeks while I've been in the business. When I used to work for the previous directors, the max I would take off was 2 weeks as an employee or anything like that. For me, I think 3 weeks is too long. The kids were there for 3 weeks, and this was the first time last summer, and I was without them. And I really struggled. At first, I was like, oh my God, it's going to be the dream. No kids for 3 weeks. No one's here at home. I can just kind of do what I want. But you know what? It was the hardest thing I ever did, like being away from them. And it added to the anxiety. And I know they were with Ash, like my husband, but it was just, I'm with them day in, day out, like from the morning till night. I'm with them every single day. And it was just like that separation for me was so hard. Like I never thought I would struggle so much, like not having them there. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. I was like, this is so, so difficult. A couple of days is fine. You got a business trip or whatever you're on, but 3 weeks was just difficult.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned you went to India. Did you go traveling in India?
So when we went in October last year, we went to Mumbai and we went to Gujarat because we've got family in Gujarat. And I wanted to see I want the boys to experience it because when we were young, we used to go to India every year. And we did a lot of traveling. My mum and my mum's sister and that, they used to take us to loads of different parts in India. Like we did Delhi and all of that side. We did so many things by car with them. So I wanted my kids to kind of experience, and my husband Ash, he'd never been as well to India in all these years. So just more was an experience this time round for them. And they loved it. The kids embraced it so well. They were like, when can we go again? They were like, we want to go traveling there again and go to different places. They just found, they were really wowed by how different things are there compared to when we go on our normal holidays. Like when we go to Cyprus, we were in a 4-star, 5-star hotel. When you go to Dubai, it's very different. And all those kind of holidays are so different. But when they went to India, it was such a different eye-opener, I think, for them as well, because they got to see really nice places. And then they also got to see like kind of how people are struggling and people are living day to day. But some of those people are really happy, and they were like seeing all those things. And for them, they were all in awe. I'd say both of the kids, they were like, it's very different, but they kind of embraced it so well.
Wow. And you said a few years ago you went to India as well.
I went in 2010. I went traveling for 6 months on my own.
6 months.
I just needed a time out. I was, you're working from when I was 16, been on so many journeys with job roles and stuff like that. I've always been in long-term job roles. And I kind of got to a stage where I was like, I just need a break. I need a time out. Just needed time to kind of find myself and reconnect, because you've been in that corporate world. You've always worked in management and you've always been in those roles. And it was nice because I got to see so much, and I did so many things that I would never normally have done. And I just going to see like different places. We went traveling went to see Taj Mahal. We did Agra, we went to Jaipur, we went to Udaipur, all these random places where you never would have done. Like if I'd been with the kids, you would never been able to do stuff like that. And I went to Rishikesh, went to Haridwar, where it's like really sacred town where they have the Ganges and the rivers. And it was just so nice to just embrace that, the energy and the culture. And I'm not a religious person, like much at all, but being a Hindu, it was so nice to just see how people are in some people, their beliefs and how they live their life on these beliefs every day. And it's really, really great to see. And it's really an eye-opener how people have these hundreds of year-old traditions that they still believe in. Like my mum, she'll believe in certain traditions, where if your shoe's upside down, it's bad luck and things like that. And, it's just really, really random things, but they're big believers of it because that's how they've been grown up. And we sometimes say to them, but how do you know this is real? And it's not about whether it's real or not. It's just about the belief, I think, where if you believe it, then you practice it and you do it. But it's not everyone who believes it. And there's no right or wrong. Again, it's just whether if you believe it, it's down to you, and how you deal with that sort of the energy. And it was just so nice to feel that buzz. It was very different. When I went to Haridwar, it was a very different environment. Like it's just so peaceful, so calming. Everyone's just doing their thing. There was no like hustle and bustle of life. And you take a step out and you're like, wow, this does exist. There's that serenity. It does actually exist. For me, it's nice. Sometimes you have to just have a reset, because I'm always on the go. You're like, you just don't know when to stop. But now I've kind of gone through that journey in life, and you're just like, now I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm just like, love that fast pace and things to do, the productivity and being present with the kids and making those memories with them every day is what keeps me going every single day. Is so important to me.
How different is India from different places?
India is very different. It's come a long way. Like, don't get me wrong. We went to Soho House in Mumbai, like really nice places. And there's Virat Kohli's restaurant. We went to the cricketer. He's got a restaurant there in Mumbai. Go to some lovely places. And it's lovely because you get the real mix of culture, high-end, kind of how people live their everyday lives. You get that really big disparity. And it's great to see how people are just living life. No matter what their situation is, people are just embracing life, whether they have loads of money or whether you don't have the money. People are just having then you know what, you find that people don't complain and people just get on with things. Whereas here, you always find people are complaining and moaning about something or the other, whether it's the weather or whether it's about, oh, that was not right or this was not right. There's always something we find to moan about. And I think it's just in our nature. And it's just everyday life. And
you see these TikToks, the way some of the foods are made. Some people are stepping in pastries barefoot.
Yeah, it's mad.
And like the way they're just using their
hands. Yeah.
And, you get
your fingernails and
they're doing all that stuff. Did that ever cross your mind when you're buying something out?
Do you know what? For me, I was like, everyone's eating this day to day as it's normal. At first, I was like a bit, oh, this is a bit strange. Why these people, like, they don't wash their hands or they probably just clean their nose and they're making this food and all these things. But you kind of like get used to it because you're like, this is their way of life. This is their everyday life, And I don't think it's, here we're so worried about cleanliness and all of that. But they have the best food and it tastes so good. And touch wood, I've never been sick from it. So it's like, hopefully it's okay.
Yeah, there was one where one guy was putting his hand down his back and
scratching
himself. And then they go, yeah, that's where the masala comes from.
Oh, Lord. I'd be like, oh, my God, I hope he hasn't touched my food with that hand. But it is funny.
In the buses, you get people coming up on the buses and they've got
all those things coming out.
And stuff. And you're like, oh, that looks really nice. Like,
you want to try
like
it?
The peanuts with the,
the roasted
crispy,
peanuts thing.
And you're like, that looks good. But then you see on TikTok
how it's made. Yeah.
Like, no.
Am I really going to eat this?
Do that to me, bro.
It is funny. It's just...
Tell me about the football.
So I used to play football when I was younger. I used to play with my brother and my cousins because I was a tomboy when I was younger. And I always was into football and I really enjoyed it. And I got to 15, 16. I used to play tournaments. I went to Holland for a tournament with school. And then I got to 16 and then I was like, just don't know what happened. Like life just changed. It was going out, partying with friends and girlfriends and this and that. And then it just kind of took a back burner. And I always had the fire in me because I always loved watching football. I'm a mad Arsenal fan. Like my brother kind of grew me up and was so into football. And he's a mad Arsenal fan, him. And he's just like, he goes to all the box club games and he's like taking the boy, like Braden is an Arsenal fan, the younger one, taking him to the football games. And I loved it. And I even still loved watching football. We would still watch football every weekend with my brother's friends and all of that. And then stopped playing, but I still had it in me. I was like, still had the skills and everything was there. And when I had the boys, I used to go to the park with them and I used to play with them. And they were like, Mummy, you're really good. And I was like, yeah, I know, I've still got it. But then there was never enough of the women's football, or there was never a place where you think you could go, and it was never a big thing. So you kind of fizzled out and I just kind of left it as that. And then last year, in the local area in Ealing, I found out that a lot of the mums from the boys' school were playing football for Pitshanger FC. I was like, oh, there's a women's football team and there's a women's football club and they play on a Thursday, 9 till 10. So it was training 9 till 10 on a Thursday. And I was like, oh my God, how have I not known about this? If I'd known about this, I would have been there like from years ago. And then I joined and it was just, I found that fire again. And I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Like meeting up with women from 25 to 30 plus of all abilities. Some have never played football. Some have just kind of grasping it and want to just try something new. It was so nice to see that there's a space for women to do this sort of thing. And then I kind of got involved in it. And then I was like, wow,
What position do you play?
I like to play in defense. So I like to play like...
You're a good defender.
So yeah, I'm a very good defender. I can run with the ball, but I prefer the defense area. And I've just found that passion again for it. And then now my younger one, Braden, he's playing for the red team in Pitshanger FC. And Mason, he loves goalkeeping and he's playing for Pitshanger. He's training with them as well. And now you just like, we're at football Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday we're at training for the younger one, and Sunday he has matches. So 4 days out of the week is solid football again. And I'm just like, I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. And I play obviously Thursday evenings as well. And I'm just like, that fire is back in there. And you think you're doing the skills and the kick-ups. And my son was like, stop showing off, mama. You're showing off again while I was at his training. And I was like,
How many kick-ups can you do?
I could probably get to about 20.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
I'm pretty
Wow, that's
pretty good.
impressive, you know.
Yeah, he's quite good. I
You
do.
need to play with Savoys and CPC. Like,
I
you need
know
to get
it'd be
involved with
good. I
them
would.
people.
That would be good to do.
reckon
I
you
think.
could do better than most of the guys.
I think that would be good to do on the next one. We're gonna have to tell Sanj and Malkit, get me on the team.
Definitely. I don't think you shout about it.
Yeah, not yeah. We don't shout about it enough. And that it's like a little community that we've got now, and a little space where we all come together. It's 9 to 10 on a Thursday, and we all can just like get together. We have a session, and I'm not a gym person. I hate the gym. Paid for gym memberships for years and years and years. Never step foot in the gym. I just don't find the motivation in the gym, and I don't get I just feel like I'm not productive enough in the gym. So now I found the club with the football. I found like I get my fitness levels up with it. I'm active as it is running around, but it's just nice to do something that you really enjoy and you have a passion for as well.
Finally, I want to ask you a question, because you told me that you never went college and university.
Yeah.
That sounds shocking for somebody who's a multi-millionaire, multi-million pound company that they're running. How you got to the top? Because society sort of says you need to go to school, college, then uni, then do a master's, and then you'll be ready. And some of these people are still unemployed.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that whole thing?
Do you know what? I think everyone's got to do what's right for them. And at that time, for me, when I was 16, leaving school, I never enjoyed school. I always found it, I'm more of a practical person rather than sitting down studying, whereas my sister was head in books. She was really good at what she did. She went to uni, and everyone is different. And I think you've got to take the path that kind of is suited for you. And for me, not going to college and not going to uni, I always felt that, is this going to pull me back, and is it going to hold me back? Because am I going to miss out on an opportunity or to get to where I need to get to early on in life? And do you know what? For me, it didn't, because I found my passion through business. I found my passion through management, and I found that fire in myself at a young age that I felt like I was always wanted to be a business person, but I just didn't know how far it would get me or where I would go. And then while I was in the management roles of turning showrooms around and changing, like taking turnover for them and managing these multi-million pound businesses, I kind of found my calling. And I was like, you know what? I actually don't need to go to uni to do this. So for me, it was, if it's a specialist thing, like obviously being a doctor or a lawyer, I think, yes, you do need to, but someone who is in business, and I think you could get away with not going to uni. You could do a business course or whatever the case may be. But I think you've got to have it in you to find your purpose in life and find what you're good at. And there's a lot of pressure in the society, because as being Asians and Indians, the norm is to go to uni. The norm is to get a degree. And I know people who have been to uni and who've got a degree and are still, as you said, still looking for work, and they're in a lot of debt because of uni fees and whatnot. So it's kind of a personal choice, I think, more than anything else, in what you want to do and where you see yourself, and kind of where you feel like your path is going to be. Some people do a degree and they don't even go into that field. So it's all a learning curve as well. Like for me, I didn't go to uni and I didn't go to college. And sometimes I look back and I think, oh, I wish I did, because I missed out. Like, did I miss out on having that uni life and having that experience? But then I look forward and I think, you know what? I still went out. I still had parties and I still did all of that with my friends and my friend circle. So I don't know if I actually did miss out. So there is never a right answer to whether it's right or wrong to go to uni and go to college and progress in that sense. Because for me, I found my calling in business, and I love taking a business and growing it and seeing the potential that I can bring out of it. And that fulfills me, turning it around and how you can make things better and how you can grow the business and how you can grow the brand. And I think for me, that's what fires me up and fires my soul. So to answer your question, there isn't a right or wrong answer, whether you should go to uni or not. But for me, we always say to our kids now, oh, you've got to go to uni, you've got to go to do this. But when I was growing up, I didn't really have that pressure like from my parents, which I was forever grateful for, because I kind of had the choice to make my own path, really, in life. And whether it was right, whether it was wrong, there was some mistakes on the way. But I learned from those mistakes, and they were my mistakes. So I think that we can guide our kids as much as we can, but the ultimate decision is down to them. And I think we have to learn that we can't put that pressure on the kids, because sometimes they fall into something, they don't enjoy it, and they're depressed, and we're just like pushing them and shouting at them and screaming at them to do what we want them to do. But it's their journey, you know. We're doing our journey. They have their own journey. They have their own mind. They have their own personality. We need to let them explore that, and we need to let them, obviously we want to hold their hand and we want them to grow and we want them to do really well. But if they don't make mistakes in life like I made mistakes in life, you're never going to learn, you know. And that's why I feel like that stigma of uni, college, we've got to kind of break away from that. And we've got to teach our kids that it's ultimately your decision whether you decide to take that path or whether you don't decide to take that path. But have a plan. Like, it may not always work, but have a plan in place of something that you enjoy or something that you feel like you would be good at. Because someone can be stuck in a job that they absolutely hate. Mm-hmm. They've gone to uni, they've become a lawyer or a solicitor, and they absolutely hate it. So what is the purpose of you doing it? What are you doing it for? Mm-hmm. There isn't a... For me, I find the fire in doing what I do. That's why I'm doing it.
What did you choose to do instead of them years? So them 5 years, 6 years, what was you doing in that time?
So I started off, at the age of 16, I went to work for a shoe shop. I started off doing part-time work because I went to sixth form for on and off for a year. I was doing a business course and I hated it, absolutely hated it. So I started picking up more hours. Holidays with the shoe shop in Wood Green. It was in Wood Green Shopping Centre. Mm-hmm. And then started picking up the extra hours, and then I just started working pretty much full time there. And then from there I progressed to showroom manager of Enfield branch. And then we kind of worked quite well there, and we did the turnover. So you're seeing money coming in your pocket. You were like, this is great. And then at that age, you're like, this is what I want to do, because this fires me. I want to turn around a business. I want to make it great. I want to progress it. I want to grow it. And that's kind of what I did. So I stayed there for like 4 years, and then I went into electronics. I was running an electronics store in Tottenham Court Road for a family-owned company. Did that for 4 years. So for me, I've always been long-term, wherever I've been.
Been loyal to that company. What about your parents? Were they upset or anything that you weren't doing further studies?
Do you know what? I think my mum probably was a little bit more than my dad, because my dad was like, he was quite open. Like, my mum was a bit more like, everybody's going to uni, everybody's going to college, what are you doing? And I was like, well, this is my choice. And they were supportive of it, don't get me wrong. Like, I love her to bits, and she was so supportive of it. But you know, in the back of their mind that there probably is that little bit of element of disappointment. She never really showed it, and she never really put it on me. But in the back of my mind, I always felt like, have I not done enough? Like, I don't feel like I had done enough, because their expectations of what an ideal daughter or whatever would be, I haven't fulfilled that, whereas my sister probably had, and she went to uni and done all that. But yeah, everyone is different. And you know what? That we've always find that no matter what you do in life, your parents are always going to love you no matter what. And you do find that, like, there is, like, everyone makes mistakes, everyone has rubbish times, and everyone has tribulations that they've been through, and no one is the best kid, and no one ever lives up to that expectation. But your parents, no matter what happens, they're always going to have your back, and you realize that. And I think hopefully we can do that with our kids, and obviously we can learn from our parents to do half a job if we can, as they did, to keep us going and keep us motivated and keep us alive, really, because times were very different then.
Definitely.
They had less money, they had less resources. Like, they never drove. Like, sometimes they didn't have cars back in the day. They were going around doing stuff like on buses and foot and prams and this and that. It was very different. Whereas now we've got the luxury of, most people have a car, most people have like private nurseries that they can put kids into. There's so much more that's available to us, and we still complain. Like, our parents cooked every single day fresh meals, and we're like, sometimes we're like, oh, we're gonna have a takeaway today, and we barely got takeaways like that when we were younger. Everything was home cooked food or whatever, and now we're like, we just don't have time. And we're like, well, how did they have all that time back in the day? And they're doing double what we do probably at that time, and they're looking after their parents, they're looking after the in-laws, they're looking after all of that. We just got to look after ourselves and our children, and we're still like, oh my God, I'm so tired, and I'm so this, and I'm so that, and we're always complaining about life. But we forget that they had so much more going on, and they probably had such a harder life, and they really didn't complain that much. And it's so weird, like, when now we grow up and you're like, look back, my grandma, she was 95, my dad's mum. She was so fit, like, she would do her own stuff up until she passed away 6 years ago. She would do her own thing. She was like, she lived with my mum and dad, and she would do everything herself. She'd even wash dishes herself. Like, she could do so much.
What do you think leads to an older person like that getting to that age? Because now more so you're hearing people, so-and-so's passed
50, 60 years old,
oh, so-and-so's got cancer now, so-and-so's this happened.
You know, their lifestyle was very different back in the day. I think they did hard graft, and they ate proper fresh food as well, and I think that made a massive difference. They lived hard times. Like, they really did live hard times. Like, my dad, he was 16 when he left India. He left his family and he went to Kenya, because my dad's dad was a priest, like an Indian priest. He was very strict, and my dad ate meat, drank, smoked, did everything. So he was like, always, his dad was always having a go at him. My dad always told us this story where he was like, that's it, I've had enough. He just took off and left, got on a boat, and he went to Kenya, and he stayed on like cinemas. It was like a really famous cinema in Kenya, and he slept on the seats there, and he made his life, went to do his accountancy degree there, and he built his life from scratch again at the age of 16. And he's like telling us these stories. You're like, wow, like, you did all that. It's mad. Like, and then he met my mum, because my mum was in Tanzania, and he met my mum, and he came to London he was one of the first ones to come to London out of my mum's brothers and sisters as well. And he said he came here with nothing in his pocket. Literally, he probably had very minimal money, renting a small room on Frobisher Road where their house was. And it was just like, you look at those stories and you think, what are we even complaining about? Like, we have nothing to complain about. That's what you call hardships and grafting and working hard, sleeping on cinema seats for a good 6 months just to kind of get yourself into a work and into a role and work, and while you're studying at the same time. But my dad was like, that was the best times. He goes, we had such good times in Kenya and all of that. And you're like, wow, it's so inspiring to hear from them. It's like, those times were seriously tough times, and it makes you appreciate like the hard work they put in to give us the life that we've got and we've had. So you're forever grateful for it. And I think family is like really important. People forget the values of family because money takes over, and that's what you're seeing a lot more these days, where siblings are not talking to each other because of money, because of inheritance, because of houses, and they're fighting over stupidness. And you're like, come on, what is the point of all this? Like, there's just no point.
There isn't.
That's why I said I'd rather not leave nothing to anyone. Enjoy my life now while I'm here, and make my kids strong enough to, build their own life.
It's true.
It's so important.
I love that. Well, we've kind of run out of time now, but it's been absolutely amazing.
Thank you so
It didn't
much.
even feel like the time we were.
I know, it's gone by so quick.
What's the best way people can follow you?
Instagram, Kalpa Patel 1, and we've got Prestige Bathrooms Instagram. I'm always at the Savoy's Club events every time.
We'll put your social media handles in the bio anyway,
perfect.
so people can follow you at home.
Yeah.
Is there any final message you'd like to say to the people?
Do you know what? I think just keep going, doing what you do best, and just embrace life. Embrace every day as it comes, and never forget the values, family, your just be true to yourself and be humble. No matter where you go in life, just be humble.
Thank you. And there you go, guys. I hope you really enjoyed that episode. It's a real inspiring story where a couple of generations ago, it wasn't very comfortable sleeping in cinemas, to today owning a multi-million-pound business that's thriving and getting into central London. So if you're at a place that you think, maybe I can't do this, it's not for me, it's all about keep going, as Kalpa says, keep looking forward and go and follow your dreams, what you're passionate about, and make it happen. So if you enjoyed that episode, please make sure you smash the subscribe button. Leave Kalpa a comment. If you've got anything else to ask, I'll make sure she gets it. And share this with somebody who needs it. Peace.